Hi there, my name's David Donahoo from the Eyes of Horus, and I help people to overcome the anxiety that they have either in the workplace or in their life as a business owner, or just the general anxiety that seems to hit on a day-to-day basis. And one of the reasons why people don't tend to overcome their anxiety is they don't know how. And you would think, well, isn't it fairly obvious? But the answer is no. In actual fact, it's not. And the other problem that actually often comes in for people is that when they have anxiety, they talk to people who don't have anxiety and they don't know what to say to help the person with anxiety. Or alternatively, they do ask a person and they give advice. But really that advice isn't useful, because it really doesn't help them understand how to overcome anxiety. My training is in hypnotherapy, NLP, matrix reimprinting, and a number of other modalities that help me to understand how to work with the mind. And that became really, really important to me because a number of years ago, I had a dream. And that dream was to go to the Great Pyramid in Egypt and go inside. I actually went to Egypt. It was fantastic. The pyramid, the size of the pyramid was just enormous. I looked up at the entrance and the anxiety hit me. I couldn't go in. There I was, outside the Great Pyramid, the dream I had, and I just couldn't do it. And I was devastated. However, what it did was it sparked me. And I began to remember all of the other fears and anxieties and panics that I had. If I got in a lift, others got in, I had to get out. Feel embarrassed, but I wasn't staying in those lifts. And just around spiders, snakes, other animals, heights. There was a whole variety of those problems that I was having. And I decided it was time. You know what? It was really time to deal with that. And I went through looking at how could I do this. I went and got help from people. The problem was that many of them just helped me to cope with anxiety. But that frustrated me even more because I wanted to overcome it. I didn't want it to have that impact anymore. And so, as a consequence, what I did was I started to go out and find ways that I could actually overcome my anxiety. And you know what? I found it. I did. And I've been able to use that to help others since, to overcome their anxiety. So I don't have a fear of heights anymore. I don't have a fear of snakes or spiders like I used to. And I don't have the claustrophobia. I don't have the anxieties that used to plague me, or the panic, or even the panic of the panic. It's all gone. And yeah, occasionally that fight-flight response will come up, but you know what? That's normal. What I was dealing with was that abnormal anxiety that can hit. So I'd like you to think about something for a moment, because this is something that I learned over time. And it was that the belief of the therapist in what they can do and how they can help you limits you to what you can achieve. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, the old way of working was that people believed, well, take a tablet or take something and just learn to cope with your anxiety. You'll never be able to get rid of it, but you can learn to cope and just survive. And that's the old way. The way that I found, and I now know others who use similar methods. It's around the new way of dealing with anxiety, that coping is no longer the norm. In actual fact, overcoming anxiety is now the norm. And you can do this because what's happened has changed the way people view anxiety. Yes, we still have the old way, the old people who believe you can only cope, but not anymore does that need to stop you, because really what I'm saying is you can overcome your anxiety. Now, an affirmation that I learnt for myself that helped me a lot, that you may want to also take note of, is this: I am taking action to stand and understand my anxiety. And by saying that affirmation to you often, what happens is you start to recognize that you're not going to let the anxiety overtake you. You're not going to let it control you. In other words, you're going to control it. And I'd just like to give you a 3-step process as part of starting to overcome your anxiety. Because you see, overcoming anxiety is a process. It takes a number of steps to get there. There are some steps that I use that help to really start the process working well. And so I call it the ABC of overcoming anxiety. The A is ask. Ask the anxiety, what's it trying to tell you? Because you see, most people don't ask. The B is be willing to stand and not run away, so that you can then do the C, which is chat to the anxious part and ask it what's going on and begin to listen to what's happening. Now you see, an interesting thing with this is, how do you do the ABC? And I learned something really early on in my life. You see, I'm an identical twin. So as a result, when I see my twin brother, it was like looking in a mirror. I could talk to him, he'd talk back to me. Doing the ABC of overcoming anxiety, of asking, being willing to stand still, and to be able to chat about the anxiety, is like imagining you're a twin. And as you imagine you're a twin, what you do is you start to imagine that the other twin's the one with the anxiety. And you want to find out more about it. So at one level, there's a bit of curiosity, I suppose, comes in. And so what you do is you start to really ask the twin, what are you trying to tell me, anxiety? And by asking, you will always get an answer. And as I said earlier, I work with the mind. And one of the things I learned about the mind was the unconscious mind is so much faster in responding than the conscious mind. And what you want is the result of the unconscious mind. Because the unconscious mind will tell you what's happening when you ask it. And so by using the ABC, you begin to really start to get in touch with what is that anxiety starting to tell you, because once you start doing that, you are taking back control. And as you take back control, then you're the person who can then get the help to overcome your anxiety. And so I'd be interested in any feedback you have of when you try the ABC, and please look forward to my next video on the next steps to being able to overcome anxiety, the process, which is really a journey of moving from having the anxiety to being free of it and not having it in your life, and dealing with it as quickly and as soon as the symptoms appear so that they no longer have the same impact. And thank you and have a good day.